This edition of MacVoices is supported by SaneBox. Organize your inbox and never waste time on email again. Sign up today at sanebox.com/MacVoices to save $25 on any subscription. Welcome to MacVoices Live. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're live on Facebook and YouTube like we are every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. You are always welcome to join us. We'd love to have you, whether you are watching live on YouTube or on Facebook in either one of the chats, or if you'd like to be in the Zoom room, we can let you in. Or if you're watching in the feeds, because not everybody is available at this time. So we make sure that we post it to the feeds so that everybody can enjoy it. This is Holiday Party Part 2, or no, actually, I guess it's the second holiday party of 2020 and the last one. And, you know, that's a good thing because we just all want to get 2020 over with. So let me go around the room, let you know who's here, and we'll take it from there. And I'll take my screen as always. Mr. Guy Serle is first up. Guy, still looking for the mic to make him sound like Dean Martin.
Yeah, Volare. Still waiting. Hello, Chuck. Hello,
still waiting.
panel.
Good to have you,
Match
Guy.
game 74.
David Ginsburg is here. David, welcome. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Glad to be here as always. More fun ahead here. I only have one mic. I'm happy with this one. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next up is Brittany Smith. Brittany, you only have one big fuzzy mic.
Yeah, that's all. And another one that apparently I can never use again because it sounds awful. So yeah, that's all I got.
It sounds great. Joining us for the first time, I'm not sure as participant or guest or whatever, Craig, is it Craig, am I pronouncing it right? Allebach?
Yep, Allebach. Yep.
Allebach. Good. Thank you for sticking your head in here and endangering your life with this group.
Yeah.
It is dangerous.
First time on here, and always listen to your podcast and stuff. So I thought I'd jump on tonight and just join the Facebook group. So see what you got going on. Great.
Well, here we go.
Welcome.
Let's see. Next up, Marina Epelman. Marina, welcome. You're an unexpected pleasure. This is terrific.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hi, Marina.
Hey, Marina.
Hi, everybody. I have no microphones except for
You
these
sound
AirPods
fine.
here.
Yeah.
Is that a tiger background?
Yes.
I guessed it first.
Tiger by the tail.
Marina Epelman.
Nice.
Welcome. You're an unexpected pleasure. This is terrific. Okay, so we're getting a little
Thank you.
kickback on the audio from someone.
Somebody's got Facebook open,
Hi.
Facebook Live open.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Whoever that
I don't know
was,
if-
you win.
Oh, that was Brittany.
No,
Oh, it wasn't
Who
Brittany.
was
Okay. Well, whoever. It doesn't matter. No, Marina, thank you so much for sticking your head in. This is great. I don't think we've talked to you since before MacStock.
Perhaps that's true. Yes. Now that my Zoom teaching is over for the semester, I can use this program for fun.
It's good to have you.
yeah.
Last but absolutely not least, Ms. Kelly Guimont. Kelly, well, good to see you. Welcome.
Good to see you too. Nobody in Hollywood knows this, but Tony Orlando and Dawn are blank. That was for Guy. There we go.
Oh,
Match game 74.
Game question.
I'm
Not
thinking
married is
Tony
the
Orlando
answer.
and Dawn. Okay.
No, I
Those
thought
names that are well known, I got nothing.
like
I'm.
I thought we were playing match game.
You know, one of these times, seriously, we should do something like match game.
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
Chuck, no.
I'll watch from Facebook and not go on Zoom because, whew,
No.
Game match
Kylie
game.
knows I
Yes.
am not her person for her pop culture
Yeah.
references that are not Star Wars related.
I'll
She's
take
not,
ball
if it's
in
not-
and center square.
At least not live. I can tell you that because I want the edit pen.
Okay,
Good
but
point.
at all of it.
that would be so much fun. It would be like that edition of The Big Lebowski where they take out all the swearing and it's like 8 minutes long.
Or like it's only for patron members or something. I'm trying to help you with your business, Chuck.
Yes, Chuck.
I wouldn't.
That's how you kick off MacVoices After Dark.
You want to subject the patrons.
MacVoices After Dark. We start. The demo episode is Match Game 2021, right? Guys with me on this.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Guy's got a cravat ready just off frame to tie around his neck at any moment.
Gene Rayburn.
Could have been.
Yes, please.
All right. See, this is what happens when you get a party. They all come.
Yeah.
They've already had too much to drink, and then here we go.
And here's something. We could get Betty White. I think we could get Betty White.
I bet we could get her.
She was on that show many times.
She was.
Yep.
Okay,
she was.
But how many of those appearances does she remember? If even half the Match Game stories are true,
Chances are almost none of them.
See, yeah,
she was on her husband's show more. Password, so
that's true.
All right. Well, let's instead of This Week in Game Shows, let's get back to
Game Show Voices today on MacVoices Live.
Yeah. So this is I guess the last time we'll get together before the new year, and it is definitely a year we'd like to put behind us. But there are a couple of things that I'd like to kick around a little bit, and I'm going to, instead of starting with the most recent one, I'm going to go reach back into the beginning of the pandemic when we were all starting to go into lockdown. Apple received a pretty fair amount of, maybe not criticism, but a lot of questions about why they would release a new iPad at that time. And I distinctly remember some of my conversations with people and like that this was disrespectful in some crazy way, or it was encouraging people to go out in some other crazy way that I really didn't understand. And I'm curious now that that's really in our rearview mirror and the new iPads are very much a part of the landscape. Do you think Apple made a mistake of any kind, or do you think that they were a little more far-reaching and just said, look, we're going to try to make life as normal as possible and push ahead?
I'm not even sure it really matters, because
I don't think so either.
Most people who buy Apple devices buy it online anyway. So, whether they had Apples, I mean, hell, they've had the Apple stores have been closed now pretty much all over the world for the last 8 months, and they're still having record quarters. So it's not like they said, oh, here's an iPad, everybody line up in front of the store and make sure you don't wear masks, and there's all kinds of touchy-feely, so let's do that. I
thought the criticism was financial because there was some job security questions. But what I couldn't remember, because that was about 5 years ago, was
seems like it.
It's very fuzzy.
Where was that in relationship to the SE release? Because I also remember people reacting to that. I was like, "Are you kidding me? They just released the cheap one."
Yeah.
Well, they released the iPad Pro was released in March. That was the one we were that was the one everybody was questioning. Okay, the Pro really? I mean, because I held on to my 2018 iPad Pro. I'm fine with it
because they're the same.
Basically the same. Only the difference is the LiDAR and the camera, basically, but and maybe a different chip. Okay, oh well. But as time progressed, then you had the iPad Air, and then you had the base iPad model, which was a very good release because it was a major speed bump. So, but I don't really think that Apple was in that case was wrong in doing it. I mean, they wanted to put an updated model. They wanted to get that LiDAR and the three lens system on the iPads, and that was already in the works, and so they did it. And I didn't think, to me, my opinion is, I don't think that was a bad thing Apple did.
No, and it makes sense because you were having a lot of people that were suddenly having to work from home. There were a lot of kids that were suddenly having to, go to school remotely.
Zoom on iPad still sucks. Just so
and
that's valid. But we also got a new MacBook Air the same day. That same March press release was also the new MacBook Air.
No. Right. But by having,
Brittany, you're not wrong, girl.
By having all of these machines that were suddenly released, it gave people choices. As to where did they want to spend their money? Did they want to get something for their kids? Did they want to get something so that they could work from home? And because of pretty much how easy Apple makes stuff. It was relatively easy for a lot of people to get online and go ahead and work from home and work remotely and wherever it is.
That was like a week after they announced that DubDub was virtual. I went back and pulled up the press releases for Apple for 2020 to look at what to look at it. And on March 13th, they came out and said that DubDub was going to be all online only in June. So like if you're worried about that right now, don't be worried. It's all going to be online. Everybody can go have it. And then the 18th was the new MacBook Air, and then also the iPad Pro. The new Pro with the LiDAR scanner and everything. So that was the biggest thing. And then like, I think part of it is just that it also felt like there was a lot of news from Apple this year. Maybe it's just because there wasn't a lot of other news for us to pay attention to. Like two things happened this year. Like we had a pandemic and an election, and like everything else has kind of fallen by the wayside. But it really felt like Apple sort of went through like a ton of stuff, like all year long, because we got the new iPads, we got the new MacBook Air, and then we got and then they came out with
keyboard,
the hover keyboard, the hover keyboard, like hot on the heels of that, which was the middle of April. The middle of April was also the SE release, Brittany, that you were asking about.
I looked it up.
Apple came out with very nice second quarter numbers. Then we got a new MacBook Pro in May. And that was all May, and then June.
And they fixed keyboard stuff.
Yes, we got the 16-inch last year. We got a new 13-inch with the good keyboard, with a not stupid keyboard, which was when I went, it's finally time for me to go buy a new computer. And then Apple came out in June and said, we're going to make our own processors for those computers. So Kelly, you're gonna have to wait. So I did. And then we got that in June, and then we had sort of the summer. Then we got the new Mac OS, the new iOS, the new iPad OS, the new TV OS, got all of that in September. Then we got new phones, and we got new watches in there, somewhere, I don't even know anymore. They dropped an entire fitness service on us. Apple did so many things this year, and I feel like maybe it's just because I had more attention to pay to it. But
everybody was home.
But so, I mean,
it's like, I've seen all the YouTube videos I want to see. Let me go see what Apple's doing.
Yeah, but they put out, three announcement videos in an announcement video a month for 3 months in a row. Figured out how to do all of that, turn it into a package that they could just sort of give out to everybody. They jam a lot more stuff into a lot less time because those events are really efficient when you don't have to wait for everyone to finish clapping. All that stuff, it makes a difference, but it really did feel like we got a lot out of Apple this year. And
right. Well, it's interesting because some of it I think was sort of iterating, right? So the new iPad Pro, I mean, it's the same old iPad Pro except for a different camera, right? Yeah. And so it wasn't so much,
and for some of them more RAM, which might have been preparing for operating systems.
I think the highest end, 2018 version was using those same chips anyway. They're just making, they're just able to make more of them now. So it was really an iteration. And, same thing with MacBook Air, right? It's the same form factor. It's just they're using a different part in it, which is the keyboard. But otherwise, it was essentially the same. But the SE.
The name of that keyboard, the non-stupid keyboard? Was that
stupid keyboard? Well, I'm still a proud owner and user of a 2016 MacBook. The one with one USB-C port. And I'm hoping, right now it's completely irrelevant because I don't really leave the house anyway. So I'm using my
so I'm not going to put everything in your backpack and go to the other end of the house, because that's what I end up doing.
Well, so I have my office, which has a MacBook, Mac Mini in it. I have my standing desk office, which is the counter, the bar counter of my kitchen, which is where my MacBook sits. And sometimes I put an iPad next to it, so I have like an extended display. And then I have my couch computer, which is my 2013 MacBook Air.
Boy, you got in every room.
Wow.
Yeah.
So none of them are portable.
I'm the only one who is running, 10.3, but yeah, and I have no inclination to update the laptops right now because what am I going to do with them? And I'm hoping that eventually they will make a 2-pound laptop again, so I can finally replace my MacBook when I actually need to, pick something up and carry it out of the house. But but a lot of these products, the SE was also really an iteration of an existing phone. Yeah. So,
but it was a really long time coming. Like the SE, like the rest of those are definitely evolution, not revolution. But the SE was like, I felt like the SE was at least dramatically different in the upgrade cycle. And the iPhone 12 was dramatically different in the upgrade cycle in a number of ways. But yeah, the other stuff was sort of iterating till we got the M1s. But like for complaining about Apple never releasing updates on anything, they gave us like everything this year but a new Mini and a new iMac.
Today's Mac Voices is supported by SaneBox, AI for your email. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. They always seem to start out great, then become a burden, then become a failure. That's usually because they weren't realistic in their scope when we start them. But there's one resolution that I can promise you are going to want to make work and can make work because it works for you, and that's SaneBox. When you implement SaneBox, you get immediate gratification because your email inbox gets smaller and only the good stuff remains. All the rest has been sent to the Sane Later folder, where you can look at it at your convenience, or not, after you take care of all the important stuff. When new emails arrive, they pass through that same process so that only the important ones get to your inbox. You are automatically more productive and less distracted with SaneBox. And if something hits the Sane Later folder that you want to designate as important, it's easy to train SaneBox. Just drag that email to your inbox and voila, SaneBox is trained. I've been using SaneBox for years, and I have more to tell you about how indispensable it is, but that will come later. For now, visit sanebox.com/MacVoices and get $25 off of their subscription packages. Take control of your email today at sanebox.com/MacVoices and get $25 off any subscription. sanebox.com/MacVoices. Thanks to SaneBox for their support of MacVoices.
To Marina's point, when do you release an iteration?
There's an M1 Mini.
Oh, right.
That's right. There is an M1 Mini, and Santa was good to me and gave me one. So,
just perfect fit in an extra large stocking. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
If your stocking's big enough.
So all we didn't.
Santa made a mistake. David, he was supposed to drop that down my chimney, and he overshot Harrisburg and headed to Chicago.
Made it Chicago, sitting nicely here on my desk. So,
yeah. But guys, I appreciate all the conversation, but I'm looking back and I'm still kind of hung up on the reaction to Apple doing business as normal, and of course. From where I sit, I have to believe that probably 98% of what happened throughout the year was planned. I mean, that they just kept to their time.
Yeah. Brittany,
and it would have been a mistake.
Point.
Yeah, Brittany.
Like, when do you release an iteration? When it's ready. That's when you release it, because otherwise it's outdated. Like, think about it. If they waited on the iPad Pro and they waited, and now that's what the Air looks like. Like, what's the difference? And so, I mean, there is a slight difference, but not very much. And so then if you wait until the Air comes out, like, you release an iteration when it's ready. And that's, I just dropped my phone. And that's when you do that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the backlash was about, but, I think there's some truth to what Guy was saying, that people just stuck at home kind of in limbo, not knowing what work looks like, what school looks like, what the world looks like. And there is some bit of news that seems to be normal, and I think everybody was just kind of questioning how to react. But, it was interesting because, right as this was happening, so my experience was that, my university was, we switched to online instruction on, so on March 11th, which was a Wednesday, it was announced that we were shutting down for the rest of the week and then starting up on Monday, doing everything online. And,
wow.
I'm like, yeah. And so like, unlike, somebody like me, most people don't have a house full of laptops and iPads and every possible variation of Apple Pencil to, write their lectures on. And so like my department and my college, they had to basically purchase and send out like a bulk quantity of iPads. Now they did not buy the new iPad Pros. They went for the cheaper ones, and the fact that those cheaper iPads were now coming with pencil support that made it possible for people to to actually write on the screen comfortably and give lectures and give instruction. And my college set up a loaning service for especially our students who are from less financially well-off families who couldn't afford stuff on their own. A lot of them don't own their own, touchscreen devices or computers. They were just relying on university computer labs to get everything done. And now they were sent home, and so the university just set up a loaning program and just bought or hold out of hold out of storage a whole bunch of Guy just can't help but compete.
Yeah, I know.
He keeps changing his background.
He's switching backgrounds faster than his microphones.
Yes, he's just going backwards in time.
No, but to your point, Chuck, I just as me looking through, and I'm going to be talking about this in my podcast tomorrow, although it's my year in review. If you go all the way from January, iPad turned 10 years old. That's where it started. Then until you go to the end of the year, you got the AirPods Pro Max, the AirPods Pro Max get released. So people were complaining about that, and that's just this month. And then you go all through the rest of the year. I mean, there was just complaints everywhere. Every time Apple did something, but you know what? They had an amazing year, and they did very well, and they sold a lot of great products, and they released a lot of great products. So anybody who says otherwise, I think, okay, then so be it.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Well, I agree with you, David, and I guess in retrospect, I mean, hindsight is always 20/20. But Apple, I don't know if they were one of the first, but they were certainly one that kind of drew first blood on just saying, okay, we're going to try to do business as normally as we can. We recognize there are going to have to be some difficult changes. Kelly, you referenced the WWDC changes, but that turned out so well that now I think 90% of the population out there is hoping that they continue to do it that way because it was so much under control. Well, a lot cheaper, and do we miss the in-person events? Absolutely,
so
for
much.
Sure. Yeah, but they changed it and they figured out a way to do it. So I applaud them for it. And I think, okay, you guys took some of the early heat because Marina, you were saying, I think you said March 11th. I know our office shut down March 18th and said, yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And now here it is, the end of the year, and we haven't been back yet. Yeah. And doesn't look like anybody's going back anytime soon.
There's an extra on the thing that sticks out to me about that is I watched Soul over the holiday, and they have some extras in there. And one of the extras is like how we got the movie done. Pixar is a very collaborative environment, and it was how we finished the movie like in 2020. And so they have like one of those overhead cameras over like one of the entrances to a building at Pixar. And they have it on like, high speed time lapse. And you just see the cart goes out the door full of computers and back empty, like time after time after time after time after time after time. And you just like, it's almost hypnotic after a while. You're just watching like all these monitors walk out the door, all these monitors walk out the door. And like, I'm in IT as my day job. And so watching that made me very anxious. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, same here.
Like, oh my,
I'm sure they checked them out thoroughly.
For all of this, like, what's but anyway, like that aside, like watching them talk about how some of the stuff that they have done technologically like over the last 5 to 10 years made it a lot easier for them to end up remote than it would have been if this had happened earlier. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take, but just watching that, like I work for an IT consulting company. So we have lots and lots of clients. If you don't want to be responsible for your own IT, you call my company. And so we have all kinds of clients, from lots and lots and lots of people with a lot of process around all of that to like a person or two who just need somebody to make sure that the mail is always running, the mail server is always up, and that's really about it. So we have like everybody in between. And I got this job at the end of February. So like I ended up kind of in the deep end immediately with like, how do I help people who couldn't spell VPN a month ago? How do I help them all the way up to, we have it and it's up and running and it's broken right now because too many people are trying to use it at the same time. Like how do we help all of those people, and what do we do about all these people who want to take monitors home, and how do we solve all of these problems? And so like that was like, when I think of 2020, that's what I think of, is like kicking off my shiny new job was all helping everybody deal with this. And and I think part of Apple's stance on that was recognizing the reality of it, but not letting it impact them in a negative way. Like, we have a MacBook Air ready to ship, we're going to ship it. We recognize that it's probably not a good idea to get 50,000 people together in San Jose in June, so we're not going to do that. But we're going to make sure all the people that are showing up there for the material are going to get the material they wanted. We have the M1 ready to go. We're going to ship it this year, regardless of what it looks like by the time we're ready to get these out the door.
Well, and I agree, Kelly. I mean, if you stop and look at it from a different angle, Apple's a tool maker. And so they were shipping tools, and it ends up they were shipping tools that a lot of people needed to continue. All of a sudden,
everybody needed more tools. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you had to, because if you had kids at home, I mean, now you needed 2, 3, 4 machines of some kind, whether they were iPads or MacBook Pros or whatever. Craig, I want to make sure you get an opportunity if you have thoughts here, because trying to shoehorn into this group can be tough.
Oh no, that's not a problem. I was just thinking as you were talking. What do you think our world would have been like, our Apple world for this year if the pandemic hadn't hit? Would we still have seen the amount of products released that we did, or do you think that they kind of move things along a little quicker? Because obviously these things have to be in the pipeline. It's not just something you can move out right away. So would we have seen as many releases as we have? And as we went through the year, you saw, release after release after release, I guess, keeping people's attention and on the product. So it'd be interesting if we could go back and look and say, well, if this didn't happen, would we have seen as many releases, or would we have had as many events? So that it's kind of interesting to go back and look at the.
I think so, because they, like you said, they had everything in the pipeline. They didn't just do this just because the pandemic hit. They had everything that was released this year was definitely in the pipeline. Some of the changes that might have happened, like the iPhone 12 release, that got delayed for obvious reasons, because their supply chain was hampered because of the pandemic. So because that should have been released, and all of us should have in our hands in September. I didn't have it in my hands until November. So and I have it now. I'm very happy, but I think in itself, that this was all planned for sure. There was no question about it.
I think they still would have had the same number of releases as far as equipment goes, but I think they would have had less events. I don't think we would have gotten September, October, November.
Yeah. I think presentation might have changed. I think
it would have been like a 2.5 hour event that would combine like the September and October one, or the October.
I think we'd have gotten 2 events instead of 3. However, they split those up, like September, November, whatever. We would have had 2 live events in person there at the Steve Jobs Theater. I think Dub would have been in person this year, but I think that the online component of that would have grown. I don't think it would have grown to 100% like it did this year, but I definitely think that landscape was already changing, because it used to be that like all the videos came out like right after the conference for people who wanted to see them. And then it started to become almost real time to get those videos out the door for people who were learning. And that's one of the big public interaction with Apple moments in a year. That's why everybody's so excited to go to WWDC, is because you work on Apple stuff all the time and you get a chance to look an Apple engineer in the eye and say, I'm having this problem. This isn't working. I filed this bug. I can't solve this thing. Can you help me with that? And that's like most of the reason that people are going to San Jose in June in the first place. No reasonable person goes to San Jose in June on purpose. So you have to have a really good reason. And that's a really good reason.
Kelly, we're not developers.
That's why we were there, though. We were there for WWDC. We were there for a very good reason.
I know. You just said no sane person, suggested that if you weren't a developer. Okay. Anyway, I was just being silly. Yeah. Or to meet Chuck in person for the first time, right?
Yeah.
There was that. Yes.
That's true. Not just obviously 2 years ago.
Not this year. It was last year. But I think the presentation would have changed. The only thing product-wise I think might have been different is I'm not convinced that we would have gotten Fitness Plus in 2020. That's the only thing I think would have changed. I think they may have left that until early 21 to catch all the people who were going to the gym. Like we may have seen it at the November event, but I don't think it would have actually launched in December the way that it did. That's the only one that I think might have changed.
They would have delayed the whole the whole bundle package then as well, because
Well, that's delayed until February anyway.
Like the thing that made it, you got all those services, spending about this much money.
The bundle came out in September.
Oh, okay.
It was definitely in the works already.
Yeah, but didn't they already announce it? Plus?
They announced it
early December.
They announced it. I think
in September.
Yeah.
And it's already here.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's the only one I think would have changed is just that one product. I don't
know. I disagree.
Marina?
I think if you want to hit up people who are making their New Year's resolution, it has to be out there.
Oh yeah.
I think like it happened. It has to be out there like a couple of weeks before January 1st.
Well, I think they would have announced it at whatever the November event ended up being. I think it would have been announced there, but there wouldn't be Fitness Plus for me to do right now. It wouldn't happen until January 8th or whatever, like I think, and that's a tiny little shift. I don't think it would have, I think that's the one that might be different, but that's it.
We wrap up our final holiday MacVoices Live party on the next edition of MacVoices with a continuation of our discussion of Apple products during 2020, some of the decisions they made, and the criticisms they received for them. And we also ask our panel to pick their favorite Apple product of the year. That's all next time on MacVoices. I hope you'll join us. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.